It feel like Miami.
Miami, 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 Miami.
It feel like Miami.
Welcome to the Miami Heat Beat podcast. I'm your host, Giancarlo Navas, and with me today, we have our 2K coach and pregame in host, Franky G.
Let's talk bigs.
We're going to get big today. We're talking about the big man rotation. And a face to the right of me, if you're watching on stream on twitch.tv/Miami Heat Beat, that you can catch all our shows, postgame, all that good stuff. We have Jack Alfonso, a familiar old friend. Jack, hi. Look at this handsome man.
Go Dolphins.
The Dolphins,
Yeah.
They annihilated the Giants, correct?
Yeah.
I just know
Yeah,
that
they didn't even play well.
my Jags got the win against the Bills, which, by the way, you're welcome because that helps you in the division. So, you know.
Huge win for the Jags for us.
Yeah, the Jags,
We love
huge
that.
win for me, huge win for you guys. I also don't believe we play this year, correct? I don't believe the Jags and the Dolphins play. So we're all
I don't
happy.
think so.
Everyone's happy. You know, I'm happy.
Well-
My friends who are Dolphins fans are happy. We're all happy. Fuck the Bills. I think we can all agree. Josh Allen's a dweeb. And the Heat are in a scrimmage right now. Cole Swindler has 16 points in 7 minutes. That seems pretty good. Jimmy's taking left-handed shots. That seems that seems like something. I know Bam was taking corner threes in warm-ups. Brady Hawk on the scene. But today, you know, that's not on TV. So you're going to rock with us here. Today, we're going to talk about the Heat big man rotation. We're going to preview all three big positional groups, like food groups, right? You know, we got the bigs who are like the carbs, got the wings who are like the protein, and then you have like the veggies and fruits, which are like the guards, right? So, chat says Cole Swindler sounds like a made-up name. I actually thought he was a Magic player. I didn't know he played for the Heat. Funny.
That's
enough.
Cole Anthony.
Yeah. Well,
There's no way that's how you pronounce the name, by the way. I was thinking about it before the
Swindler?
show.
Well, how do
I
say
was
his
like,
name?
do I know how to pronounce it?
Swindler.
First, there's no N in there.
No, you're
There's
right.
no
It's Swindler.
L.
It's Swindler. it's Cole Swindler.
Is it
He's the Swindler.
I'm gonna call him Cole Swindler. It sounds way better, bro. Cole
when he
Swindler
gets the
sounds
contract,
like
I'll be Cole Swindler.
he sounds like a guy who would jump off a plane with like a briefcase of money and disappear into the forest.
That's what he's gonna do. He's gonna earn that 5 years, $75 million, and swindle the Heat.
There is a guy who did that. I
That's
forget
the
his
culture.
name. I watched a
Duncan
documentary.
Robinson.
Kyle Lowry.
Oh yeah, Tyler Johnson.
That's my guy. Oh, we'll say. Oh, Tyler Johnson. Well, I saw somebody tweet out. It's like the Heat haven't made a good decision since giving Tyler Johnson the bag, and I was like, I want to say something. I was the first one on that train. All you
Did you
people. Huh?
Did you see the Celtics fan who was like, "This is the guy the NBA let us get," and it was Kristaps Porzingis highlights, but it was highlights like when Chris Bosh was in the league.
I missed it.
It was him hitting like a jump hook over like Cavs Kevin Love. Like it was like,
He
was.
he
Hey,
dunked over.
go.
He hit a fadeaway over Frank Kaminsky.
Frank the Tank, who looks like a pool noodle. All right, guys. So we're gonna preview big men today, and I think this is the easiest of the three positional groups. I think there's one big question, which is gonna be who backs up Bam. And let's just start at the top there. We can end the show with Bam. I think we all know what we're gonna get from him. We can talk about what we expect. Vane Hype says he hit a 3 over Heat Hassan Whiteside. You know, big accomplishment. We got to talk about their backup big mess has been a problem for a long time since Dedmon was good, because Dedmon came in and Dedmon Smeathan says Jack looks like bloated Rachel Maddow.
I'll take it.
I'm trying to do my job here.
Of the Schmeath and Schmolnick Jack insults when I come on here, that's almost a compliment. I'll take it.
My god. Listen, if you guys are listening on the pod app, I suggest you tune in on YouTube or on Twitch every once in a while so that you could see these jokes to life, because there's nothing like it. But so the Heat's backup big Franky, has been in disarray since Dedmon was good, right? So Dedmon came in and he seemingly fixed the problem. Then Dedmon became bad again, and they have had Cody Zellers and Orlando Robinson and a revolving door of guys. So let's start with Thomas Bryant as the first guy, because he's kind of the guy that they got in free agency. He's, I think, the guy the fans are most excited to see what he can provide. We got to start with his defense, right? We can get to the good later. He's like one of the worst defensive players in the league. Our friends over at B-Ball Index rated him, I think, the second worst center defensively in the league with at least 500 minutes. Franky, I don't know if he's going to get the job, but that's going to be an issue considering how small they are at the wings.
So him coming to Miami gives me a little bit of hope. I know this is Jack's guy. He went to Indiana. We followed him since he was in college. We've heard fans get excited about this guy as a prospect. He's got measurables, offensive talent, aplenty, of course. He's got a 7'6" wingspan. You can't teach that stuff, right? But the problem is he doesn't have the will to do it. Every team, it's that meme that like, no, everybody tries this guy. It doesn't work for everybody, but it might work for us. That's what the Heat are hoping for. At least buy them some rotation time until Lando is fully ready. But there will be a stretch where Thomas Bryant, fills in for Bam admirably and has like a 5-game stretch where he goes off and plays really well. And there will be 6-5 reasons podcast of like, can they trade Bam and promote Thomas Bryant? Because Ethan will take advantage of that. No, I'm just kidding.
The marketing goat, Ethan. Ethan Skolnick's the marketing goat. No one's doing it like Ethan.
Ethan has 67 Dame podcasts out there.
What a fucking legend.
What a talent. What a talent. Shout out to Ethan.
That's my guy.
No, but Thomas, like offensively, he gives them what they need on the bench. He's gonna score. Jimmy's gonna like him, and Jimmy. Hopefully, the hope is you can surround him with enough wings and defensive talent that they can hide him and get him to buy in and just do the minimum. Which with his size, and he's a good rebounder. He's not a terrible rebounder or anything. And offensively, he's going to help. So, you hope he gets buy-in. He should be motivated. He's been a journeyman already. He's only like 25, 26 years old. And he wants to get paid. He hasn't earned that big deal. Was doing a really great job with the Lakers last year. And then what happens with Thomas Bryant every year happens. Got traded to Denver and then basically saw no playing time. So, hope is he buys in. But I think he's just an innings eater for the regular season.
Jack, so Bam's gonna play about 34-ish minutes, a game. That's kind of where his average levels out. A guy like Thomas Bryant has to survive 14 minutes, without him. And we've talked a lot over the years of Bam giving a unit a lead and it evaporates, and then Bam has to play more minutes than he should, especially given his kind of knee tendonitis. And it's not fair to put that much load on him. Not as it is, he has to do so much defensively. So if a guy like Thomas Bryant can't hold the lead, it's a problem. Is that something that you're worried about, or do you think that like his offense, like he shot 44% from 3 last year. He's a great rim finisher. He's in the top percentile every year. Shot 73% at the rim last year. It's in the 93rd percentile. Like he's like really like helpful offensively, but it's like, can they survive that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it depends on how the rest of the roster shapes out around him. Look, like Franky said, I'm a big Thomas Bryant fan. I've been watching him since he was 18. Like, that's a guy who has had success with the Hoosiers specifically in lineups where they had generational wing defensive talent. They were playing OG Anunoby next to him. And when you have guys like that next to him, it matters a little less that you're a defensive sieve. But I mean, look, Dedmon was not some like great defender. Zeller was a smart defender, but, old and, varying levels of bad at times. Yurtseven couldn't defend. Like, it's not like any of their bench bigs over the past, I don't know, who's the last bench big that they've had that was like defensive neutral or a defensive plus,
I think
like outside of spots of Zeller.
I think Dedmon for a stretch, like when he first got on the team,
For a very
like,
short stretch.
Or
Vane
Hype says Willie fucking Reed.
Legend.
Parts of Willie Reed, but like, I mean, I think what Bryant offers offensively dwarfs whatever Dedmon offered, whatever Zeller offered offensively. And those guys weren't offensive scrubs, but like, you know, they brought Bryant here for a reason. That dude's a shooter. He's a big body. He can rebound. He closes out possessions. Like, I don't think it's going to be such a disaster with him on the floor, at least not in the regular season. Like, I agree with Franky that I think he's an innings eater in the regular season. Come playoff time, I don't really know how he stays in the rotation. Mm-hmm. I want to be encouraged by the fact that he chose to come to Miami. I want to believe in, as I have always wanted to believe, that Thomas Bryant could live up to like his hype coming out of high school, but he just kind of never has. And guys like those don't just like suddenly figure it out. And I don't think it's just a matter of him like not wanting to play defense. I do just think some guys don't have like the aptitude, the acumen, the focus. I don't know what it is because I'm not on that level of like basketball, but it's clearly more complicated than just like, okay, I'm going to try on defense now. Because if it was, I think Thomas Bryant would be one of the best centers in the league because he's always had that talent. And I just don't believe that he's like lazy. But maybe Spo's magic and can get him to like I mean, Bryant is younger than you think. Bryant is my age. We went to IU at the same time. Neither of us remember 9/11.
Never forget.
But like, I'm not suddenly going to get good at my job. I'm not suddenly going to be good at podcasting. So like, I don't know why Thomas Bryant would. We're 8 years deep, dude. Like, it's not happening for either of us. I don't care if you have Spo coaching him or Ethan Skolnick coaching me. It's not happening for us.
We need Barry Jackson to get in here. Whiplash us into shape.
Ooh.
So the thing with Thomas Bryant is that like they're gonna have to play a drop with most of these backup centers, and with Bryant in particular, like, you know, Bam, they're gonna switch with Bam obviously, and you're gonna have to play him in a drop. And when you play a guy like him in a drop, you're susceptible to pull up shooting. You're really depending on your guards to be able to get around screens. Maybe you can have a Josh Richardson lineup with, you know, another guard that you can kind of scrounge up some defensive minutes, and you can get a pretty competent backcourt and have Jay Rich kind of chase a guy around the screen. And I mean, he's a pretty good screen navigator, you know, stuff like that. That's where losing Gabe hurts because he's the guy that was really good at staying in front. I think a lot of this comes on the guards to kind of contain dribble penetration because you cannot leave Thomas Bryant on an island. And the other part about that is you're small on the back end. Your wings are small and you don't play too big. So that weak side helper, Miami typically, like, you know, that guy's going to come help. But a lot of times good teams are going to manipulate that to be Kyle Lowry, as we saw in that Hawk playing game, right? They're going to set a really high screen. You're going to have a big kind of dead end space. Your guards can't contain, and now your help has to be, you better hope that Jimmy Butler is in kind of decent help position to kind of affect that at the rim. So that's the stuff that they haven't addressed, because I don't think, and I don't want to talk too much about other positions, but I don't think Jovic is going to come in as a guy that's going to be that level of a defender yet. And Hawkes too. That's a lot asking for these young guys who are going to be like your new additions at the wing. And again, it's just putting a lot on Jimmy and Bam to build a good enough lead for Jimmy. It's like, okay, well, if our guards can't contain, I got to make sure that I'm pinching in. But if I'm pinching in, now that shooter's one pass away, it creates a lot of problems. And that's typically been their backup center issue. And with Thomas Bryant, it just seems like more of the same, except, you know, he's going to provide some offense. So let's talk about that offense, because he's probably the best pick and pop shooter that they've had in a long time. probably the best by percentage, I would believe. I think Thomas Bryant
Since
shot.
KO.
Yeah, Thomas Bryant shot really, really well from 3 last year. So that's an element that I think you kind of want to pair him with Jimmy. I even think that they can try to play him with Bam some. Now, we know, huh?
They're playing him with Bam right now. They started him with Bam in this little scrimmage game that's going on right now.
Fun.
Yeah.
Bro, he shot 44% from 3 last year. You know, that's something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't like too big lineups, and I do think that they'll struggle. But at least, you know, you can, as we talked about, that help. You could put Bam help back there. You can provide some spacing. But I think his shooting unlocks those more versatile lineups. I still would probably rather play Kevin Love with Bam because I think Love provides more stuff. But I think it's worth a look, Frankie. I think it's worth a look.
I mean, you have questions about Kevin Love defensively, anyways. So,
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. So I was like, I think it's worth a look.
No, for sure. And the main thing is having Bam healthy for the playoffs. So if you can save him a little bit and not have him have to bang against the big guys all season, you know, do it. Like we saw how fresh he. I mean, you know, a lot of it was the bubble, but the whole Jimmy's first year, Bam was guarding fours and playing with Myers and redacted, excuse me. But you know, he looked good with that defensively. He had his breakout season. Was the first time All-Star. Like save him for that. And you want that versatility. Like a lot of teams are able to play both, and Miami's one of the few that can't. So if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. You can move on. There's no strings holding you to that lineup. You know.
Jack, I think it's interesting. I think that they have potential to play bigger and to kind of. I still think he's a problem, and I think what happens when you play him with another big is you can kind of take Bam out of plays easier, right? Because now you're forced. Now Bam, you know, when Bam's the center, he's involved in almost every screen action. When Bryant is the center, or even if he's a power forward, he'll be defending the centers. They will put him in screen actions. And sometimes if you play a team that loves to shoot off DHOs, Bam's not involved in that play at all, right? Bam is just becomes a rebounder at that point, which I guess that's good because you have an extra body to rebound. That's a big body, but I don't know if that's beneficial for their defense, but certainly I think that there's potential to, I don't know, experiment, give teams a different looks, change the pace of the game. I'm not a fan of it, but I certainly think that it has some merits kind of going into the year.
No, I think it's absolutely worth trying out in spurts.
Spo hates it though.
The NBA Spo hates it, but like he'll try shit in the regular season, and I don't think it's a long-term solution. I don't think Thomas Bryant fits into their long-term solutions at all, but like
he's a Band-Aid.
I think
Right.
He's a Band-Aid. He's a young guy who can give them a lot of minutes in the regular season. I think he can enable Bam to. Is my mic so much louder?
I'll fix it.
What Big says.
I'll
okay.
fix it.
Well, so what was I saying? That I think it enables Bam to do a lot more things that he probably shouldn't do in playoff situations, like handle the ball more, run the offense more. Like his handle's a little shaky sometimes. I don't personally love when he's controlling the offense in that way, but like in the regular season when you're just kind of trying shit out, I certainly don't mind seeing Bam like do different things, operate with the offense differently, especially in a situation where they're going to lack ball handlers. They're going to lack people who can bring the ball up, get like dribble penetration. Like we're not talking about the guards right now, and I don't want to get into that, but like everybody knows their point guard situation. Everybody in the league knows their point guard situation. It's one of the most like widely publicized positional situations in national sports right now. Like it's not good. It's not looking good. I don't know how I feel about any of these like randos that they signed. That's for another episode.
Did
but
you
like
just call Josh a rando?
Look, I mean they're point guards. I mean Josh is firmly a wing to me. Like I know like traditionally Spo loves to force him to try to be a point guard.
They don't have a choice,
like,
Jack. They're kind of out of
But that's what I'm saying. It's like if over the course of 82 games you can get Bam more touches where he's controlling the offense, dribbling more, and he can get like even 10% more comfortable with that, so that in the playoffs, like you don't have to necessarily force a scrub point guard into the lineup, and you can play like Bam, Jimmy, and a bunch of like off ball guys. Like that'd be really nice. It's just, it's just when we're talking about Thomas Bryant, it just seems like he's kind of this stopgap in the regular season that allows them to experiment, to save guys energy, to save guys like, banging against get big bodies for 82 games, like save their like bodies for the playoffs. But I don't know how he fits into their long-term plans, but like I do think he can kind of be a poor man's Kelly O in lineups with Bam, like in the meantime, which is nice. I've never been a person who's like Bam's not a 5, Bam needs to move to 4, but I have always been a person who's like Bam is versatile, and it would maybe behoove them to play into that versatility a little bit and create a roster that allows them to sometimes switch Bam over to the 4, even if it's not like most of the time or even much of the time.
Right. And G, just to touch real quick on something you said. You talked about like if you play bigs with a big next to Bam, that Bam's not involved as much. Teams started figuring that out last year. They'll force Bam to get a switch early, and they'll stick him in the corner. And Bam had to like work his way to switch back into actions and move off ball to get involved more. So I get what you're saying, but like teams have been trying to do that the same way they tried to do it with Kawhi before, and they found success like that. And that's a big part.
It's just easier with a big because I think.
Yeah. I was gonna say that was a big part of their second half struggles defensively, because Kevin Love was they were trying to protect Kevin and Tyler, and Bam and Jimmy were stretched thin. There's definitely some merit to give some shot to it. If it's not working, you don't have to stick to it. But I think long term, finding some bigs that you can play Bam next to, like an Al Horford type, a Kelly O type. We saw for many years that Bam and Kelly O were parts of the best lineups the Heat could find, and that's.
And listen, they started with him. They started with him and Redacted, and they were very successful. And even if they didn't play a lot together, that's that was. And they had a very good offense that year. Like their defense was shaky, but their offense was a top 10 offense. A lot of that was
for sure.
Robinson, but yeah.
Yeah, but I can afford some defensive slippage to like make it up on offense.
They really need to figure out, because I think that Spo will just figure out a defense that's good enough. Like he'll get you to a top 13. 12 defense, right? Like he'll do enough weird shit, zone here, weird lineup here, like some weird guy at the 5 here for 5 minutes. Like they'll get to a lineup they'll get to a place where their defense is like okay, and in the playoffs when like guys have to play like 38 40 minutes, like it'll be a lot different, but their offense needs to be fixed. And I am a proponent of, hey man, if your defense kind of takes a hit, whatever, they need to find a way to get the offense out of the fucking mud, bro. Because it was last year, it was a struggle, and Gabe was hurt, and Max was out of position, and they had a lot of regression and shit like that. But they need to find a way to make them fucking watchable. Because Franky, that was not a watchable product last year, and they were deservedly a 7 seed.
It was awful. Yeah, man, but that's part of the process, and a big part of the process. Issues was their backup big. So to get it back full circle, Dedmon was unplayable. Zeller didn't really bring anything to the table. At least Thomas Bryant will bring some juice offensively, to the bench lineups. It may be score 20, give up 20, but it is what it is, and that's all. That's better than the negative lineups that they were churning out last year.
In 217 regular season minutes, Cody Zeller had a net rating of -12.
Exactly.
Dwayne Dedman, in 350 regular season minutes, he was -10.4 net rating.
That was worse.
Zeller also played like 100, fewer minutes. It was bad, and I think this is a good transition to a big that was good on the Heat when Bam sat was Kevin Love, and they didn't have a lot of success together in the regular season when they shared the court. The Heat were -4.2 in about 300 minutes, which is not a small sample size. That lineup really didn't work. It kind of came to life in the playoffs, and that was a matchup dependent kind of move that they did against Milwaukee that, by the way, worked to match up Milwaukee's size, as Brook Lopez put him in the torture chamber. But Kevin without Bam in 136 minutes, they were +21 and with a 136 offensive rating. And Bam without Kevin, they're +3. They're +2.5, right? Like good. That's most of them in the regular season anyway. And if I include only games that they played, let me kind of put that filter so we can get an adequate number. Bam was a little minus without Kevin, to laugh a little bit. But so I think Love is going to play a role, man. I think that they'll try 3 guys at backup center. I think they'll try Love and Bam. I think they'll try Love at the 4. They'll try Love at backup 5. They're going to try all sorts of fuck it. They might even go Thomas Bryant and Love at the same time. Let's get weird, bro. Let's just have no defense. I doubt Spo will ever do that. If Spo does that, that's the one thing if Spo does that, that'd be fucking crazy. But Kevin was really good for them last season, and I think that Jack, he's a 16-game player. And I thought you saw in the playoffs, he made big play after big play, and that experience matters. And I don't think he has to play a huge role in the regular season, but I think he's a good option to have in the playoffs because he's a guy that, bro, he's been there. He's won titles. He's won a title, I should say. Been to 2 finals. Gave them, defensively, sneaky, good hands, sneaky good charges. He does all this shit that he knows that he's limited, and he survived. And Jack, I'm excited to see him for the full season in a camp. I liked his fit. I don't think his minutes should be very high, but I think ultimately he's kind of okay, you're here for those last 16 games, those last 16 wins. Am I crazy?
Yeah. I'm excited.
You think I'm crazy?
No, you're not.
You're making a face. You're making a face. Did I say something wild?
No, I love Kevin Love. I'm so excited that he's still on the Heat. He's incredible vibes. He's a championship player. He's a 16.
He's like the anti-Kyle. He's like the anti-Kyle for vibes.
He's maybe the anti-Kyle, but he also has a lot of the same qualities of Kyle, which makes me worried. It's 16-game guy. Sure. Cool. Nice. Love it. You have to get to those 16 games. And I do kind of worry that you're talking about, I don't think he should play that much in the regular season. I think he's going to play plenty in the regular season.
That's bad.
Probably too much.
That's bad.
Yeah, but it is bad, and we'll get to it. I don't know what else they're going to do because that's just the way the roster is shaped out. That's the way every report is kind of suggested that he's the starting 4. But yeah, he offers a ton. He could just not be able to walk at all, and he would still be maybe the best outlet passer in the league still. That alone gets their offense to a point where it's more watchable, and we saw that immediately when he stepped on the court. I'm excited about him. I'm a huge Beach Boys fan. So I'm all about Kevin Love and his family. Cool guy, just good vibes all around, good vibrations, man.
I love that guy, dude. Listen, he dunked in practice the other day. He looks slim. I was like, what?
I'm surprised he's playing after that dunk, honestly.
Honestly, I'm shocked. He got up, bro. He got up, and Jack's right. Franky, I'm scared that he's going to be important in the regular season.
I like what you said about him being the backup 5 because I felt like Spo abandoned that too early. Sure, it wasn't all great, but it was way more reliable than Zeller, and at least
the numbers are good.
Yeah, his highs were more effective. He at least gives you that pick and pop option.
Why didn't he
Zeller
play?
didn't
Frankie, excuse me. Why didn't he play backup five? Was he hurt in the playoffs? Please excuse me. My grandmother was passing during the final, so that's all a blur to me. Did he get hurt? Why did Cody Zeller cost them a title?
No, because Spo just didn't trust those
Was
lineups.
this it? I don't remember.
That was it. It was he would try it a few minutes here and there, but it wasn't like even an every game thing. It would they played zone with Zeller anyway. So and Kevin was good at the bottom of the zone. He was taking charges. He was rebounding. He was a pick and pop threat with Jimmy. He was a good passer. He was if you put him small on him, he'll post him up and score. Like I don't understand why. I still don't understand why Spo abandoned that option. It wasn't great. It wasn't great every game. It wasn't even solid every game. But it had more upside than Zeller did.
So Kevin, no Bam,
Eric's
in the playoffs was -9 per 100 possessions.
What was Zeller?
I'll look. Jack, go ahead.
-100. Eric Spoelstra putting Cody Zeller in that fourth quarter in Game 5 is the most inexplicable game-losing decision a Miami head coach has made in the past year. Except for
I think it's worse.
Except for one that
I
comes
think it's
to mind
worse.
pretty recently.
I think it's worse than the no knee. I think playing Zeller was an act of terror. I couldn't believe it. I tweeted at the time. I go, "What are you doing?" That guy came in the game. I was like, "That's an elimination game. What the fuck? Bam, get in there. You're not resting." Today was the anniversary of Jimmy Butler keeled over, fucking dying. Bam, that has to be you, bro. I'm sorry. Jimmy had to guard LeBron and AD. You just gotta guard Jokic and Murray. I'm sorry, bro.
What pissed me off about it was that I'm a Cody Zeller fan. I think his tenure with the Heat is very underrated because of how it ended.
I have a crazy
he
stat.
gave them serviceable minutes, but that it wasn't his fault that he was playing. Okay, like it was Spo's fault. Like
it was a front.
Don't get mad at Cody Zeller. Don't get mad at Cody Zeller.
It was Yurt's fault for not being better.
Don't get mad at Cheney for fumbling. Get mad at Cristobal for not knowing how time works.
God
Frankie,
damn it.
Cody Zeller was miraculously plus 1.7 in 174 playoff minutes.
That's all the Knicks series.
That has to be that comeback against that fake comeback in Game 2 against the Bucks.
That was all the Knicks series.
I cannot explain the plus 1.7. That has to be that Game 2 comeback where he was in with Duncan and all those other people.
He was awful, man. I don't care. Fuck those numbers.
Listen, when I say fuck Cody Zeller, I mean fuck Cody Zeller, the Miami Heat postseason basketball player. Cody Zeller as a person, I'm sure is a great, nice man. Nothing but respect to the Zellers.
This is the most G has ever defended a white man.
Cody Zeller.
Fuck Tyler Zeller. Don't say all respect to the Zellers like they're the same guy. Like Cody Zeller's cool. Tyler Zeller's.
That's Cody. Cody's married. You know.
That doesn't guarantee anything.
His wife. It's crazy how like Caleb's twin is Cody, and the Heat have another twin that's Cody. It's not that crazy. I just thought of it.
That's so crazy, man.
You mean Cody?
It's so crazy, bro. We could lead the league in Codys.
Oh my god.
But Riley doesn't want to. So
that's not a good strategy.
if too many Codys, it won't go well.
He had a Morris twin too.
We did. We had
R.I.P.
And we had the worst twin for the Morris twins, and we thought we got the worst Martin twin. We actually got the way better Martin twin. It's crazy.
Thank you, J. Cole.
Thank you, J. Cole. So that's kind of where we are with kind of our stretch bigs in Love and Thomas.
No,
Bryant.
you're forgetting the young guy.
Well, I was gonna go to Orlando Robinson next. Am I missing?
Yeah, that's another stretch big.
That's another stretch big.
Wow, were you not paying attention to our summer league breakdowns, Gianni?
Bro, I was no. I don't know. I didn't watch a second of Summer League.
Wow. Okay, so we broke it down in Summer League.
You and Lou killed it in Summer League. I remember one day they were playing a Summer League game, and I was literally sitting on Key Biscayne. I looked at my phone. I go, huh? And then you're just like, hey, can Lou and I do a post game show? I go, for what? And you're like, the preseason game. I was like, oh, yeah, go ahead. I disconnected. Is he shooting now?
Yeah, he shot a lot of pick and pop threes.
Really, Lando?
yeah.
'Cause
He
I was
he
gonna
hit
say,
it.
Great.
He hit-
like, ideally, you want in a perfect world Orlando to win the spot in preseason. I think the best case scenario for the Heat is Orlando just wows and he can kind of, because he's arguably, I mean, he for sure has the most upside out of any of these guys, right? Like he's the youngest, he has the most to grow. He's really athletic. He's long. He's big. This is great.
What the fuck is going on?
What happened, Jack?
Am I insane? Did we already talk about Nikola Jovic?
No, we didn't.
We're talking about
Yeah, but you're like saying like, oh, we're almost done with the stretch bigs. He has the most upside, et cetera, et
Well,
cetera.
I don't think of Jovic as a big. I think of Jovic as like as a wing. I think of him as I'm talking about like our centers.
That's fair enough.
I mean, but Spo does play him at the 5, so I think we
Jovic?
should.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can talk,
Yeah.
we can talk a little Joe. Well, let's talk a little Lando.
We don't have to talk about him.
We'll
Like,
talk, I didn't plan for
I
Jovic today, but we can talk. Let's talk Lando, then we'll get into some Jovic.
don't let me derail the plans.
Well, how about
look,
this? We'll do
somebody in the
Jovic.
chat said it earlier.
We'll do Jovic as a big and as a wing, just to give Bond a chance.
That's fine.
Because Bond loves Nico.
Okay. Give Bond a
Yes,
chance.
just give Bond some Nico minutes. So Lando's listed at 7 feet. He's the tallest motherfucker on the team.
He's not 7 feet tall. That's
Listen,
not true.
he's listed at 7 feet.
I don't believe in that.
He's 235
But
pounds though.
no,
Gotta get that weight up.
he looked very good offensively in Summer League. Killard here in the chat has been kind of talking about it, our whole like Thomas Bryant conversation. He said, are we sure that Bryant will be the backup center? He spelled center like a British person or a Canadian person, kind of
Centre.
Then he said, it feels like it's going to be Orlando Robinson at this point. And then he mentioned that 13 and 10 in today's scrimmage in 24 minutes for Orlando Robinson. He shot the ball really well in Summer League. I thought he looked really good. There are defensive concerns there. You mentioned his weight. It's not like he's going to be some breakout star, but I do think he's one of the big breakout candidates, like as a role player for them, especially with their shallow big lineup, especially in a situation where it's like Thomas Bryant's going to get the first shot at it, but we just discussed his big like deficiencies. Orlando's a young guy. He's been in the Heat system. We know they like him enough to have kept him on board.
They signed him to like a real deal for like multiple years.
And he earned it.
He earned it.
I think he earned it. And I think anybody who watched Summer League, so, you know, two of us on this panel, we're excited about him. I don't know. He was very clearly the best player on the Heat, despite them having a very talented Summer League roster. Like Jovic was very impressive. They had some impressive guard play. But Lando was the guy who was like, oh, this might be the best player in Summer League, period, right now. Like he was that good.
Orlando.
Which, I don't know how much that means, but, you know, hit shots or hit shots.
To your point, Jack, last regular season, so even before like the summer of improvement, Orlando was +3, 3.6 net rating as a you know when he was on the court, which essentially meant because he did not play with Bam ever, so he was a positive when he was their backup center, right? And I know kind of toward the end, teams started to kind of attack him more, and his minutes kind of, you know, spoke kind of retracted that, but he played really well in his kind of limited time. He for sure is green, and he had some deficiencies, Franky, but I mean that's a guy that I'm excited for. I think we should want, you know, we talked about this a little bit, you know, before, how the Heat always had guys in the pipeline, right? Like Duncan Robinson didn't come out of nowhere. Duncan Robinson was on the team when Dwayne Wade was here, right?
He caught the oop.
He caught the oop, right? Duncan Robinson was a guy that was in their system for a couple years, and when he got his opportunity, when he got his like real opportunity, he took off. And Gabe Vincent was another guy, And Max Struswin is another guy that was in their system for a couple years. And once they coaching staff felt that they were ready, they got real opportunities, and you saw how they contributed. Orlando's another guy Orlando and Highsmith are the two guys who have been in their system for quite a bit of time, and that those are the guys in the pipeline right now, right? I guess Bouye, sorry, rest in peace to your boy who got cut. He's another guy. They have like guys in their system, like in their pipeline. Orlando's like the guy. He and Highsmith, I think people are most expecting. Okay, these are the next guys that they're just gonna come out and they're gonna be fucking 15-minute a game rotation players, and the league's gonna be like, how do they keep doing it?
Yeah, and we saw Lando have great stretches already last year. Teams kind of figured him out defensively. He's not. He is 7 feet.
I'm less worried about that because he's young, and in this system with this coaching staff, that's gonna drill. He has all the tools, and he's coming in like a little sponge, absorbing all the SPO knowledge for defense.
You know, it'd be great if you let me say it because you just took everything I was gonna say, asshole.
I'm so sorry. I want to have a conversation.
No, but he is hardworking. He has shown a lot of improvement as he's gotten stronger. He looked more chiseled in summer league, and that was definitely an issue. He wasn't super strong. He could get out muscled in some of the games. But you know, we talked about the pick and pop option. He looked comfortable shooting. It was a quick release. It wasn't anything like redacted would go like this and go really slow, and he would hit him, but it was like 2 a game because he took so damn long to shoot. But he looks comfortable. He shot well from the free throw line too. He was a good touch inside against smaller defenders and bigger defenders. So he was able to really, like, they were running offense through Lando, which was surprising. But Jovic was comfortable with him. Jaquez in the few games that he played with him was comfortable with him, and it was good to see. Defensively, yeah, there's still questions, but his willingness to learn and like you said, he's got tools, he's got wingspan, and they're gonna teach him how to play without being a top tier athlete. Because Lando's a big guy, but I question if Lando can dunk. There's a lot of games where he's just like right there, and I'm like, that's a max vert for him? Come on, buddy.
His rim finishing last year was 67%, which is not bad. It's good. It's in the 71st percentile for his position, but it's not like great. And he's like springy and long enough that you're right. I think you want that finishing a little higher.
Because he's not really a lob threat because he can't really jump. And he's also not a rim protector threat because of that. But as long as he, works on the positioning and he's got good vets around him, he listens and he's coachable. I think he could be a good rim protector and a decent enough rim protector. They mix up the coverages. They started in drop. They started hedging and showing a little more with him on the court as he would sprint back and stuff, and just to disrupt things. But I think he's going to have to be a drop defender because he's not
higher at the level though than I think.
He can't show. He showed good understanding of angles and taking away and disrupting the ball handler. But I think ultimately his biggest strength is going to be from the drop.
Leches Commissioner says if Duncan's out here dunking, Lando really has to figure it out.
He does. Duncan's the most athletic Robinson on the team. That's crazy.
So funny, dude. Alpha doesn't have it. Jack, do you think that Lando's going to be able to shoot enough threes? Because that's an element I didn't even know. Listen, what an exciting thing to find out.
What do you mean? Is he going to be able to shoot enough threes? Is he
going
to get the opportunity?
Yeah,
or?
like is Spo gonna? Do you think Spo's going to let him? Do you think like he'll be good enough that like he'll take him? Like, because like. We know that Bam can shoot threes, but Bam doesn't take them.
It's hard to say. Bam's not going to shoot threes this year, guys. It's not happening. And I'm glad it's not going to happen. They have other bigs right now who are good shooters. They have Cole Swider. They have Duncan Robinson. They're going to be the best shooting team in the NBA.
I'm not.
I don't know. I think it's all contingent. It's hard to judge what Orlando Robinson's role is going to be right now because we don't really know what Thomas Bryant's going to be right now. Like there's so many new pieces
Preseason's going to be telling.
who are kind of preseason's going to be telling. I think it's going to change a lot over the course of the season. We know like Spo doesn't really settle into lineups until like the spring. So we're going to have plenty of games, I bet, where like somebody's not playing and everybody's pissed at Spo because they're like, oh, he hates him. And it's like, no, Spo's just, you know, he experiments. He's annoying. He doesn't really give a shit about what fans want. So I don't know. I think Orlando Robinson will get ample opportunity. I'm curious to see what those lineups look like. Like we talked about with Thomas Bryant, like we could see him in two big lineups with a Bam or a Kevin Love. And I think the same applies to Orlando Robinson if they believe that shooting is real. And I think there's some advantages to that Thomas Bryant doesn't necessarily bring. So I'm curious to see it. He's going to get the opportunity. He just has to hit those shots. And I feel pretty confident about it. Like you said, like it's rare that they have a guy in their pipeline this long that just doesn't have it. You know, I do think they move on from guys pretty quickly when they just can't play. Some people in the chat have been like comparing Lando to Yurtseven. No offense to Christian Hernandez. Love the man. Yurtseven never had it. That guy sucked. Like there was nothing to hang your hat on with him except for a couple of games where he got a bunch of rebounds. I just didn't see it with him. With Lando, there's like, in theory, a high level talent that he can bring to the lineup. You know, like Yurtseven didn't have any really big shooting ability. Obviously, you weren't going to rely on him as like a post scorer. He wasn't like some incredible role threat or something like that. He wasn't a defender or anything. He rebounded. He was a big body and he rebounded. Orlando Robinson conceivably could do the things Yurtseven could do, but could also shoot the ball, which is a playable NBA player.
He's also like not a horrible free throw shooter. He's at 70%, which I think is huge, right? For your big man, that you have like your percentage.
In the summer league, Lando was first team all summer league, averaged 29.3 points, 9.3 rebounds, 4.6, 57% shooting from the field, and he shot a lot of jumpers.
Goddamn.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, brother.
He was that dude.
Hell yeah, brother. Shout out to Bronx Joker with the tier 1 sub. 12 months, that's 1 year, baby. Says it's all.
Polterghost also says about he was great rebounding his own misses. Yes, he absolutely was.
Bronx Joker, in addition to his sub, said always Miami in 5. So shout out to the legend. And Vane Hype also resubscribed at tier 1 for 33 months, baby. That's
Schmeathan says Jack Truss is like the boyfriend who gets cheated on in a rom-com.
He really does.
I'm wearing the suit. I'm wearing the
pregame,
the old Weird Al pregame show.
The WAP suit.
Yeah. I
really missed the Weird Al pregame show because we had HOT as the acronym, we had MHB, and we had WAP.
WAP.
It's like this is really the big three of South Florida.
And we were WAP before the song.
Oh, we were WAP before the song. We were WAPing before the song.
Don't say that.
Someone clip that. Oh my god. Chat, you guys gotta clip more. You gotta clip more of our nonsense. You know, we gotta.
Ryan Sproviero says Jack looks like he's trying to impress a judge. I didn't do it.
I live in.
They're trying to get out of that parking
Denver.
ticket.
If I wore a Heat hoodie to court, I think I would be put at the bottom of the jail.
Hey, bro, if you wear a Denver Nuggets hoodie, they're not gonna know either, because that city didn't even they were blacking out games like 2 years ago because like nobody gave a shit. Wear a Russell.
Yeah, it's not a basketball thing.
Can you wear a Russell Wilson jersey, or will they like try to kill you?
I was wearing Dolphins gear the whole week after we dropped 70 on them, and people were just happy for us, man. I don't know. Like, nobody believes in the Broncos either. Like, they're just like, yeah, man, this team sucks. Cool performance by y'all. Like,
cool performance.
Dog, if that happened to Heat fans, we lost by like 60, I'd fucking hate that fan base for the rest of my life for no reason. I would be Barry Jackson every day and whoever their Franky is. God, it's so nice. Denver, I love Denver. Denver's a nice place. Shout out to Denver. All right, we don't.
Shout out to Denver.
We don't have, huh? What'd you say?
I said shout out to Denver.
Oh, shout out to Denver. Okay, we're running out of time. We
You turned
unfortunately
my mic too far.
listen. Nico Jovic is for wings. I'm sorry, guys. We're running out of time. We're pushing an hour. We got to get to the big man. We got to get to the arguably most valuable player on the team. You gotta give it to the difference maker, the defensive player of all time. Bam, out of the bayou. My GOAT. Another year for Bam. Coming off, another superb year. His I mean, there's not much to say about him. It wasn't, obviously what is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're in year 7 of Bam. Kind of know what he is at this point. You can add a little couple things to your game or whatever. Let's talk about what we want to see out of Bam, and let's not do the generic stuff of like, I want him to score more or whatever, because obviously we all want that. But like, what are actual feasible things that you would want to see out of Bam this year? Because a lot's gonna get put on him again, because he is truly the eraser of all the front office mistakes, because he can lift a unit defensively by himself. We've even seen him do it on offense. He's 26. He's only 26 years old. He's still getting better. Franky, I'll start with you, man. What do you want out of him this year? What realistic thing do you want out of him this year?
I think the things that would help the most are his handles improving, his finishing improving. He talked about it in a recent interview with Anthony Chang, friend of the program.
The puppet himself.
About being 10% better. He really took what Coach Malone for Denver said in the playoffs here to heart about we'll live with Bam scoring 26 on 20 shots. And he's talked about that a lot and just trying to be more efficient. Like, he really wants to make the mismatches pay. He's improved his finishing a ton. Like, I think people forget that Bam couldn't make a layup at all by himself. It was all dunks and nothing else. His first year, he's improved a ton. He's added every year to his game, sharpened things, turned tools into weapons. And his mid-range last year became a serious weapon. I know everybody loves to talk about the three-point shooting, but I don't care about that right now. Like, he can shoot some, add some catch and shoot, add some trailing threes. That's nice. I'd rather him take those threes than the long twos. Of course, but like in the playoffs, they're gonna sag all the way off and dare him to hit. And if you're gonna bet your whole fucking season on Bam shooting threes, like I don't want to do that. I don't think Spo's gonna want to do that. Like there has to be other ways for him to improve. The handles, him getting by guys, has to get a lot sharper. He has the left hand. It's better than Jaylen Brown's. But he has it's so loose sometimes. It's not strong enough. He bobbles it off his own foot, dribbles off his leg, just loses it. Not being confident and strong enough there yet. And just developing more in the post and working on the finishing, the balances. He has to get a lot better at utilizing his jumper as a threat. Jump, pump fake, dribble, go one dribble, hook shot, one dribble, get by a guy. You see flashes of it every now and then. You see him dominate some guys. But I think those are the feasible things that he can continue to work on, continue to sharpen, continue to improve on. Because in the playoffs, you see they got away with putting smaller guys on him. He didn't make them pay enough. He needs to be more physical inside on smaller guys, utilize his speed better against the big guys and the jumper. I think he's improved a lot, but as the front office shows, they're going to rely on Bam's improvements to be the catalyst for how far this team goes.
Jack, so one of the things I want to see more from Bam is kind of a return to what he used to do, right? Which is operating some offense from the elbow. I think that playmaking element of his has been a little lost And I think especially this year where they have a lot of new pieces, I would like to see a little bit more of that kind of role for him. And you're happy. I'm going to let you go because I want a little bit more of that, and I miss that. They've kind of transitioned to a more pick and roll heavy team. I kind of want to go back and see what he can do with the new experience he has.
I'm people not watching the video didn't see me nodding vigorously at that's exactly what I was going to say. What Franky was saying, I agree with all of it, and would have, he stole that from me. That's fine. Whatever, Franky. I completely agree with you. I think Bam is the weirdest player to talk about right now with this Heat team, because the projected Bam role was so much different given kind of the trade rumors that were floating around the team. Not to dwell on that, but like all of a sudden the team looks significantly different than you kind of were hoping it was going to. And the biggest beneficiary of some kind of potential trade would have been Bam. That was the whole like reason you do that trade. But whatever. I mean, it just means you're going to see him as less of a role threat because you don't have really people to run that with him. When you get to the guard stuff, like we can talk about like what we want to see from Tyler Hero and what we want to see from Duncan Robinson and stuff. That's interesting and that's worth talking about on another episode. But
and he could still be a role threat out of the handoff or from the elbow, like, kind of give and dive kind of thing.
For sure. But like it worked so well for them. I know part of it was them going away from Duncan Robinson, and they didn't have as much, I guess, like movement shooting in their regular rotation because, like, I don't really think Strus was that. Look, if Cole Swider is hitting these shots like he was in the scrimmage, and you have like a Thomas Bryant on the floor sometime, you have like Orlando Robinson shooting hot, like you've got like shooters to put around him. I want to see a return to that. Like I do want to see. I know some people hated the DHO stuff. DHO shit like got Domantas Sabonis MVP consideration.
Dude.
And, like I understand it's not going to get Bam MVP consideration because he's not European, but like it works.
Jack.
It's really like it led them to a finals in 2020. Like it was really effective offense.
That was their best offense. That was statistically their best offense.
It was their best offense. I do think Duncan Robinson is like has a lot to do with that, and he's never going to have that season again. But I do think I'm so high on Duncan Robinson this season.
Bro, we better be.
I think he's the X factor.
It
can't get worse.
We're praying, dog. Dog, we're praying. By the way, Duncan and Bam in the playoffs together last season, 120 offensive rating.
Really good. It looked really good. It was the key to them getting. It was like
it literally saved their season. It literally saved their season.
People will talk about Gabe Vincent as like somebody who unlocked things for the Heat in the playoffs, and he did. People will talk about Tyler Hero's absence unlocking things for the Heat. That's bullshit. That's stupid. But playing Duncan Robinson did like unlock a lot of things for them, and like that 2-man game is important for them, and I want to see it. I do think maximizing that and going beyond what they did in 2020 relies on a lot of what Franky said, like his handles. Like that's absolutely what I want to see him get better at. Ball security in general. Yeah. Like I know he's had some like hand and wrist stuff, and so that affected his ability to like catch the ball. But like even when he's completely healthy, Franky discussed it, like there's some insecurity when he drives on players, which like if he's going to take the next step and if he's going to maximize the athleticism and the strength that he has, like that is the key thing. Like you said also, like he's improved a lot as a finisher, but he's improved a lot at like taking difficult like shots at the rim, like in and around the rim.
That circle, the little dotted line, the card circle.
Finishing was actually down last year by 5 percentage points. He was at 70 the previous 2 years. This is
He
actually
just doesn't get easy ones.
this is his
He-
lowest
he, like,
mark since his rookie season, finishing at the rim.
Yeah, because he
It's-
gets no dunks. He gets no lobs. I'm sure that was
I like that podcast.
he had to have had like the fewest dunks he had since like maybe in his career.
Oh
Like
yeah,
it was
that absolutely. Which is funny because we talked about Jack mentioned like, okay, well you're playing him in pick and roll to get him more kind of roll threat opportunities, but you're not really getting him the easy ones. And part of that is their shooting. People were just like helping off those corner guys because
Yeah.
they're just like, I don't care if that guy takes a corner three or like. And to be honest with you, like guys struggled. Like Max was a good shooter that struggled. Gabe's a good shooter that struggled.
Max was never a Max Strus, whatever shooter. Not like a good shooter that struggled. He was
Careful!
a good shooter that
Careful!
had a good stretch.
Careful!
Tiffany Meeks, stop listening right now. Max Strus, on average, is like what he was when he was pretty mediocre, like as a shooter. Whatever his other benefits, like, sorry.
I'm a Max guy.
I think they're going to be a much better shooting team this year. I think they have a lot more guys.
Bro, they better be
I
a
think
they
Jay
better
Rich is
be a
nice.
good shooting team.
They
I
have
can't
to.
take it. I can't take another year of them like just fucking having mud offense. Chat's Let's Agenda says, don't you ever talk about his son like that ever again. Let's Agenda also said Duncan Robinson underpaid.
No, but we were talking about the DHOs a little bit ago, and just to add, like one of the problems was that Max wasn't a great pull-up threat. So when you run those DHOs, Duncan was really good at taking an extra dribble to the side and getting open and creating enough space and pulling up. Max shot 29% off pull-ups last year, so he just couldn't make them pay enough. Duncan was a little bit better at it, but he battled the playing time issues, the injury issues. Tyler has always had great DHO chemistry with Bam too. What?
Let's just goes, why is Max suddenly catching strays on a Bigs preview?
Well,
Not
Max
for
had
me,
to play,
bro. Not for
Max
me.
had to play the four a lot.
Tiffany Meeks.
No, but the
Tiffany Meeks?
DHO.
I didn't say anything.
The DHO offense was over reliant on Duncan and just spamming it for 15 seconds in the shot clock. And when nothing came of it, they would take a tough contested shot. That's what happened. In this playoff run, they finally flowed into other actions, flip the ball around, and run into things. That's why I think
Franky, where Duncan would like come off the hand up, get nothing, then screen for the guy in the corner to then come off on his screen and then a handoff, and that guy would be like Jimmy or something.
Yes, we were asking, me and Bond have been asking for this since the bubble. Like, yo, let Duncan set screen. And Duncan, credit to Duncan and Tyler, and Gabe too. They all became really great screeners this year. And they were willing screeners. They got Jimmy and Bam open to the post. But finally, some screen the screener actions. Let the guy set a screen and then run it and get the ball. Steph does that shit all the damn time. If Steph can do it, Duncan can do it. Tyler can do it. Be willing to do it, and it helps the offense because it makes them harder to get to defend. But that, I think those open up a lot of easy runs, rim runs for Bam. Stretches the defense, gets the defense moving, gets Bam going a head full of steam to the rim, and that creates great stuff. I like it. And Jack, we talked about Bam's passing. Like when they were in Game 5 against Milwaukee, when Bam was just running high post offense and just throwing it down low to Jimmy, running DHOs, and that brought them back in the fourth quarter. Like that stuff they can easily run. They don't need a point guard to do it. Bam can do that for stretches every game. And then as Bam improves, gets more confidence in the jumper and gets stronger with the handles, he can go, if they fall asleep, keeper, boom, to the rim.
I agree.
Yeah, I would love to see it. Look, people in the chat are getting mad about the Max Strus comment. I just want to say it's not about like all of the things he does, but I do think like with all this like DHO talk, like Max, that wasn't Max's game. Like whatever you think about him as a shooter,
He is a better
like,
spot up
or,
guy than a movement
like
guy.
as a player, he's not a movement guy in the same way that like Duncan is an elite movement guy when he's, playing like we want him to play. It's just a completely different dynamic. And I think it's better for Bam, especially given like what we're talking about, what we want him to do. Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to hate on Max Strus. I just mean, like, I think that they have some personnel that ideally enables them to get back to kind of that 2020 mode a little bit. And it's necessary, like you're talking about, Franky, like they need to figure out all of these arrangements and really lean into them where they are not reliant on a point guard, because they're just not going to have that this season. Even if, you know, they think they could make a trade mid-season, it's not going to be for somebody who's like, it's not going to be for like somebody who makes them a point guard focused team. And even if they do get like some kind of elite point guard in a Magic,
Say that.
even let's assume they get Steph Curry mid-season, it still benefits them to enable Bam to operate without a point guard.
If they get James Harden, the dream is dead.
I'm all about getting James Harden. Keep PJ Tucker off the Heat.
Keep
I don't
PJ.
want him back.
Get
That
him.
guy sucks.
The Stephen A.
He
Get him
lost
out of
us
here.
in Eastern
Get
Conference
his
Finals.
ass outta
Do people not
here.
remember that?
It
Hey,
was
who?
That
bad.
sucks.
It was bad.
PJ
Bro.
Tucker.
He
Oh,
cost.
yeah.
He cost them. that
I
series.
don't want him back.
No, you're right. I mean, to be honest with you, I don't think that's as much as well because he was hurt. I think that Kyle's hamstring exploding and PJ being hurt and Tyler being hurt and Caleb being hurt is what cost them the series. And Jimmy being hurt, by the way. I know that Jimmy like fucking went crazy last two games, but Jimmy literally missed a fucking game that series. Let's not forget that. Jimmy missed a game in the Eastern Conference Finals. A game! Bam won. Bam won it.
Well,
That game was horrible. Do you remember that game?
Peyton
as
Pritchard.
Mark Jackson once said, the great ones tell their bodies not now.
I'm going to miss
So,
Mark
I'll
Jackson.
just
That's a
leave it at
mistake by
that.
ESPN. I think that the NBA doesn't realize that they are the meme industrial complex. And they, by taking away Mark Jackson and Jeff Van Gundy, they have taken away memes. I'm going to miss those tweets where it's like Jeff Van Gundy talking about something, Mark Jackson talking about something completely different, and then Mike Breen going, bang again from Steph Curry. Like, I love it. My favorite tweet format.
Without a doubt, I would have hit that out of the park.
That
With
is
all due respect.
the two craziest NBA commentator audio things I've ever heard is Jeff Van Gundy saying, "What even is the second cousin? Like, what are you allowed to do with the second cousin?" And then Mike Breen is like, "Mercifully, we have a timeout." And it's Mark Jackson talking about Savannah James, LeBron's wife, talking about how hot she is, and then he punctuates it with, "And I'd hit it out the park." After Mike Breen is trying to move the conversation to whatever fucking Cleveland Cavalier is doing. It's art.
Bang!
What happened to the game?
I forgot that he said that in a close finals game.
Bro!
Like, it was not downtime of a game. It was like one of the most exciting moments of the NBA
This
season.
man was so
Things
thirsty.
were going on.
Things were happening.
Troy Aikman could
Relates
never.
to that.
Troy Aikman could never. Man, guys, this has been fun. Listen, we did an hour and 12 minutes. That's a lot of. That also includes the 5 minutes of opening slate. But we did over an hour, boys. We had a lot of good stuff. Who's previewing Thomas Bryant like this show? Am I right, boys? Am I right, my people? Remember to check us out tomorrow. We're gonna be live with a post-game show. Live doing covering the Heat, and I believe they're playing Washington tomorrow. Frankie, am I correct?
I believe so.
I believe they're playing. Oh, the Braves won. Good for the Atlanta Braves. Do we like the Braves? I don't know. Huh? No.
No.
We don't like.
I don't mind them. I do like seeing
They play the
upsets
Hornets.
in the playoffs because baseball fans are the only people when they see a playoff upset, they go, "Oh, well, the rules are bad. We need to change the sport to accommodate." Because, like, you
I
should
agree.
never have an underdog.
Well, hold on. Do we not remember the NBA fans saying the Atlanta Hawks didn't have enough rest to face the one-seeded Heat?
Yes, I remember that.
That's fair. And I guess they were also mad at the 8th seed beating the 1 seed.
Oh
If
yeah,
you wanna change the rules-
they said Milwaukee didn't have enough time to scout the Heat.
Yeah. No, it's
Jimmy
it's
Butler said,
incredible.
"Scout these nuts."
Anytime you can get like fans in general complaining about like the structures of the sport because things aren't fair, that's just good. That's just good.
The
Twitter right there.
Premier
That's,
League
like, the
needs
best
more of
Twitter
that.
gets.
European soccer needs more of that.
What happened? But
It's just
I
good.
can we talk about this for a second? Because I'm fucking tired of fans being upset about upsets. Why?
No,
Why?
I don't like
Oh,
that baseball.
no, in fucking basketball, this whole playoff run, shooting variants. Oh, the Heat don't belong there. The Heat. What are we gonna do? What are we gonna understand it? Fucking HP basketball complaining every single day of what are we gonna do? What do we know about the game if the 8th seed can just get hot and go to the finals?
Hell yeah, brother.
Ooh, fucking crybaby ass.
Yeah, you tell him.
I'm so tired of it, man. Like we watch basketball so the 1 seed can win every year. No, we want upsets. We want difference. We want to fucking be wrong sometimes. Everybody's always a fucking annoying about the Heat being good.
I like being right. Me and Barry Jackson like being right.
Yeah, I'm waiting for Michael Wilbon. By the way, when is he going to ask Georgia Tech to forfeit? He asked Miami to forfeit the Duke win all those years ago.
I forgot about that.
He's like, oh, the Miami player, his knee was clearly down. Miami should forfeit.
Michael Wilbon's a piece of garbage. I hate that guy.
He is.
Yeah, piece of
Fuck
He's
Michael
a piece
Wilbon.
of garbage.
Piece of garbage.
He's absolutely a piece of garbage.
Piece of garbage.
Mierda Wilbon.
Catch us tomorrow for post game of Heat Horn.